Eric Adams seems to find new ways to contradict himself, new ways to undermine democracy, new ways to brutalize civilians, new ways to sell out black people. Eric Adams is phenomenal when it comes to snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. He finds new ways to screw stuff up all the time. So we already know Eric Adams and the police chief of New York City combined power with the administration at Columbia University to militarize the Columbia University campus, to raid the campus, to lock students up, to brutalize students. And they did the same thing at City College. It ain't just the Ivy League. We tend to care more when it's the Ivy League because we say, look at those wealthy or middle-class white students, those upper middle-class students, those privileged kids. How dare this happen here? At City College and in the CUNY system where I teach, these are working-class students. These are black and brown students. But they're getting brutalized. Their encampments are being destroyed. They're being wrongly treated by law enforcement. This is a crisis across the board. And Eric Adams continues to make matters worse. If the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. All Eric Adams sees, as a former police officer himself, is nails. And law enforcement is his hammer. It's a poverty problem, lock them up. It's a drug problem, lock them up. It's a protest against Gaza and the genocide in Gaza, lock them up. Who do you lock up? The protesters. I mean, it is a bizarre logic that governs him. But the other thing about Eric Adams is not just that he has bad economic policy and he weaponizes the police, because all these big city mayors do lots of the similar stuff. There's something unique about Eric Adams and how he moves. Part of it is that he says anything. Eric Adams literally he will just say anything. Whatever's working in that moment, he will say it, yo. It's actually, again, it's phenomenal how absurd a human being he is. He's a ridiculous person in so many ways. So we know yesterday, Tuesday, April 30th, almost 300 people were arrested at City College and at Columbia University. And police at CUNY, again, City College is part of the City University of New York system, CUNY, took down the Palestinian flag that was hung up by the students, right? Again, the students hung up a Palestinian flag. The police took down the flag and raised the American flag. Eric Adams, of course, being Eric Adams, gives a press conference as he's explaining why he's beating up students, why they're locking up undergrads, why they're criminalizing dissent, why they're abandoning the First Amendment. He's trying to justify all that. And Eric Adams stands up and says, it is despicable that schools would allow another country's flag to fly in our country. Then he went on to say that this is part of global issues that forces are trying to radicalize our youth around the world. All forces around the world are trying to radicalize our youth. Let me show you something about Eric Adams. This is what makes this guy so funny. He says, how dare you fly another country's flag? Look at him. What's that there? What's that in his hand? Not near him, in his hand. Is that the Star of David? Is that blue and white? Is that the Israeli flag? Yes, it is, Eric Adams. And that ain't the only one. See, that's what makes this guy so friggin' fascinating. There is footage of Eric Adams flying the Israeli flag, holding up the Ukrainian flag. Eric Adams ain't seen a flag that he don't love. How many times is Eric Adams also going around saying New York is the Tel Aviv of the world? We're the Rome of the world. We're the Lima, Peru of the world. We are the Mayaguez of the world. He loves to embrace other nations and he loves to fly other flags. Now, you may say, Mark, that's a minor point. This is a pedantic point. This is an unimportant point. He's making a larger argument. Oh, I hear you. He's making a larger argument. It's just a dumb one. The truth of the matter is, Eric Adams is not outraged that another flag was flying. Again, we don't have to worship the flag. We don't have to worship the American flag or any other flag. We're allowed to fly other flags. And I guarantee you, Eric Adams is not running into a Zionist encampment, ripping down Israel's flags and saying, "How dare you?" and pulling the Israeli flag down and putting up an American flag in his place. I guarantee you he's not doing that. I guarantee you he's not doing that. But he's doing it with Palestine. And he's being fed talking points. He's being fed. Eric Adams don't know nothing about this issue and doesn't probably care about this issue. But what he does care about is voter support, donor support, and political support from higher ups around the country. Eric Adams wants to be more than just New York's mayor. Maybe he wants to be New York's governor next. And sadly, it ain't impossible. You know why? Because he knows that all he has to do is say the right thing and he'll be just fine. So this idea also that people are radicalizing our youth. Radicalizing our youth. You know what? First of all, our youth are being radicalized. And I'm glad our youth are being radicalized. He means it different, but it's actually true. He's saying it in a bad way. Like there's these forces around the globe that are corrupt. Oh my God, Muslims and Arabs and brown people in general are just corrupting our kids, making them do crazy stuff. No. People have eyeballs and they have ears. And they're seeing and hearing genocide. They're watching tens of thousands of people killed in Gaza every single day. They're on social media and they're witnessing buildings being blown up, schools being destroyed, hospitals being bombed. 34,568 Palestinians have been killed officially. There's another 8,000 or so under the rubble. 77,765 Palestinians have been wounded since October 7th. This is all just Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip since October 7th. So yeah, people are seeing things. And when you see awful things, when you see genocide, when you see apartheid, when you see occupation, yes, it makes you radicalize. But what does radicalize mean? It doesn't mean what the Fox News has made it to mean, which is you've joined some terrorism cell by Al Qaeda or the Taliban. No, radical just means to get at the root. Those of us who are radicals want to disrupt the status quo by getting at the root cause of our problem. Why are people poor? Why are people hungry? Why are people unhoused? Why are people marching for Palestine? And these young people are learning and they're asking new questions and people don't like it. And when they don't like it, when the powerful don't like something, they use the state and its resources to squelch dissent. And that's what you're seeing right now all around the country. Joe Biden is the powerful. Congress is the powerful. And they don't want this happening. And the fact that Democrats are the face of the repression is not going to do the Democrats any favors in November of 2024. Joe Biden is the face of the repression. He's the face of complicity for genocide. Eric Adams is the face of repression. You got these Democratic executives, a Democrat executive in New York, a Democratic executive in Washington. They're the ones leading the repression against Palestinians. So those same young people who are getting their butts kicked on campus, those same young people who are getting locked up, those same young people whose resistance is being criminalized, you think they're going to vote for you in November, Eric Adams, whenever you run again? You think they're going to vote for you, Joe Biden, this November? Of course not. So not only are you doubling down on repression and being unethical, you are also undermining your own success as a political candidate.